10 years is a strange length of time to hold in your head all at once. It's too long to remember in detail and too short to feel like a different life entirely. If you asked Marin to describe the last decade in one sitting, she'd stumble through it the way most people do, a few sharp, vivid memories surrounded by long stretches of ordinary days that blurred together into something she couldn't fully separate out anymore. But there's one thing she can point to with total precision, because it's sitting right there on her phone, time-stamped and exact. She opens the app on a Sunday morning, coffee in hand. Her own coffee now, made at home, in a mug. That's a little chipped at the rim from years of use. She's not nervous the way she was at day 1000. She's not bracing for disappointment. She's just curious, the way you might be curious checking the mileage on a car you've driven forever without paying much attention to the odometer. She stares at it, and for a second, something in her chest does something unexpected. Not shock. Not euphoria. Something quieter and, somehow, more substantial than either of those, the specific, grounded feeling of watching a thing you started as an experiment turn out to have been real the entire time. $23,650. Let's actually sit with that number instead of rushing past it, because rushing past it is exactly how people miss what it means. Roughly $18,250 of that is money Marin actually put in, $5 a day, more or less, across 10 years, with the ordinary human gaps you'd expect. Sick days where she genuinely couldn't be bothered. A rough month during a breakup where she stopped paying attention to almost everything, including this. A stretch after a layoff scare where she paused contributions entirely for 6 weeks because the emergency fund needed the priority instead. This was never a perfect, robotic 10 years. It was a human one, with slippage built into it, the way any real habit sustained over a decade actually looks, and still, even with all of that imperfection, the other $5,400 is money she never had to earn. Never had to work an extra shift for, never had to negotiate a raise to receive. It simply arrived, slowly, invisibly, as the byproduct of not touching what she'd already built. Here's the part that would have been impossible to explain to Marin back on day one, standing outside that cafe with her card halfway to the reader. The growth doesn't arrive evenly. It isn't spread neatly across the decade like a monthly paycheck. Most of that $5,400 in growth happened in the last 3 or 4 years, not because anything dramatic changed, but because compounding needs a runway before it starts producing meaningful lift. The first half of the decade was mostly just Marin, showing up. Being the entire engine. The second half is where the account finally started returning the favor. This is the single hardest thing to communicate about long-term investing, and also the single most important. The years that feel the most pointless are the years doing the most necessary work. Not the flashiest work. The necessary kind, the unglamorous laying of foundation that makes the later years even possible. But if you asked Marin what the money actually means to her, she wouldn't start with the number. She'd start somewhere else entirely. She'd tell you about the year she left the job that was slowly wearing her down, and how she was able to take 3 weeks between roles instead of 1, because the gap didn't threaten anything. She'd tell you about the trip she finally took to see her grandmother overseas before it became a trip she'd regret never taking. She'd tell you about the strange, quiet confidence of walking into a salary negotiation without her voice shaking, because the outcome, whatever it was, wasn't going to determine whether she could pay rent next month. None of these moments show up as a single line item anywhere. You can't point to a bank statement and see, peace of mind, $4,200. But every one of those moments was quietly funded, underwritten, made possible by a decade of $5 decisions that, taken individually, never felt like they were building toward anything at all. It's not really about the money, she told Priya once, in that cafe conversation back in chapter 4, and she still believes that, maybe more now than she did then. It's about what the money lets you not worry about. That sentence is doing more work than it sounds like it is. Because most financial stress isn't really about not having enough money in an absolute sense. It's about not having slack, the buffer that lets a bad month stay a bad month instead of becoming a crisis. The cushion that lets a person say no to a job that's hurting them, the room to make a decision based on what you actually want instead of what fear is telling you to do. $23,000 didn't make Marin rich. It didn't buy her a house outright, or let her retire, or transform her life into something unrecognizable. What it bought her was smaller and, in its own way, larger than any of that. It bought her slack. Room to breathe inside decisions that used to feel suffocating. The genuine, felt sense that her life was no longer entirely at the mercy of the next unexpected bill. There's no dramatic reveal at the end of this story. No mansion. No early retirement. No viral success story with a thumbnail-worthy number. And that's exactly the point, because most real financial change looks like this: quiet, gradual, almost boring from the outside. Deeply significant from the inside. If you've been picturing this whole story as building towards some enormous number, some triumphant montage of wealth, this is the moment to reset that expectation. $5 a day, over 10 years, at reasonable market growth, gets you somewhere in this range, genuinely meaningful, genuinely life-changing in the ways that matter most, and genuinely, deliberately modest in the ways that matter least, which raises the obvious question, the one this whole story has been quietly building toward from the very first scene outside that cafe. What if you started today, not 5 years from now, once things calm down? Not after the next raise, or the next big purchase. Or whatever milestone your brain has quietly decided needs to happen first. Today. This particular ordinary day, the one that doesn't feel like it matters any more than any other day, because, as we've spent this entire story establishing, that's exactly the kind of day where this decision actually gets made. Here's what that looks like in practice, stripped down to the specific, doable steps, because inspiration without a mechanism just becomes another idea you meant to act on. First, open a brokerage account, if you don't already have one. This part sounds more intimidating than it actually is. Most major brokerages let you open an account in about 10 minutes, from your phone, with no minimum balance required to start. You're not signing up for anything complicated. You're just creating a place for the money to go. Second, pick something boring. This is not the moment to chase a hot stock tip or a trending ticker someone mentioned in a comment section. A low-cost, broadly diversified index fund, something that tracks a large slice of the overall market rather than betting on any single company, is the closest thing to a proven, patient approach that exists. It won't make headlines. It's not supposed to. Its entire value is in being unglamorous and consistent, the same way Marin's $5 were never impressive on any single day. Third, automate it. This is, without question, the single most important step in this entire list, more important than which specific fund you choose, more important than the exact dollar amount. Set up an automatic transfer, $5 a day, or $25 a week, or whatever number fits your actual life, so that the decision only has to be made once. Not every single morning, standing outside a metaphorical cafe, negotiating with yourself. Once. Then let the system carry the weight that willpower was never going to reliably carry on its own. This is the part almost nobody tells you clearly enough: the people who succeed at this aren't the ones with the most discipline. They're the ones who needed the least discipline, because they removed the daily decision entirely and let automation do what motivation never reliably does. Fourth, expect nothing to happen for a while. This isn't a caveat tucked in to lower your expectations. It's the single most useful piece of information in this whole story, because it's the exact thing that makes people quit around year 2 or 3, the way Marin nearly did, the way Priya actually did. If you know, going in, that the first several years are going to feel flat and unremarkable and occasionally pointless, you're far less likely to mistake that flatness for failure. It's not failure. It's the runway. Every single long-term investor who ever built something meaningful walked through this exact same boring middle first. Fifth, don't touch it. Not because emergencies don't matter, they do. Which is exactly why a separate emergency fund matters too, sitting in something liquid and boring like a savings account, so this particular pot of money never has to be the answer to a short-term problem. The investing account has one job: to sit, mostly untouched, for years, doing the slow, compounding work that only happens if you let it. Every early withdrawal doesn't just remove money. It removes time, and time is the one ingredient in this entire equation that can't be replaced once it's gone. 10 years from the first scene of this story, an ordinary person, doing an ordinary, mildly annoying thing, walking past a coffee shop instead of into it, ended up somewhere meaningfully different from where she would have landed otherwise. Not because she was smarter than anyone else. Not because she had some special insight the rest of us are missing. Because she made a small decision, on a day that didn't feel important, and then made it again the next day, and the day after that, for roughly 3,600 days in a row, with all the very human gaps and stumbles that come with any real habit sustained that long. Somewhere out there, right now, someone is standing at a counter just like that one, about to make a $5 decision that feels like absolutely nothing. It won't feel like anything today. It didn't feel like anything for Marin either, not for years. That's not a flaw in the plan. That's the entire mechanism working exactly as intended, quietly, invisibly, one unremarkable day at a time, until the day it isn't invisible anymore. The only real difference between the people who get there and the people who don't isn't intelligence, or income, or luck, it's whether they started. For more finance deep dives like this, stay with Extra Dollar and be a part of our community. Thanks for watching.